our first tactic of the week. Tactic of the day today is calling our elected officials. So calling your elected officials is really one of the best ways to get their attention, especially since we cannot visit their offices. Picking up the phone shows that you care a lot about the issue. Whether you leave a voicemail or talk to a staffer, most offices keep track of the number of calls they receive on each topic, so they know what issues their constituents care about. So that's what we're focusing on today. Really, we just want to go over a few tips on how to leave a very helpful call to our legislators and be able to present those to them cleanly. So here is our little image of what it looks like to call someone. So just some tips. Introduce yourself. Tell them where you're from and what your name is. That's very helpful. Focus on one clear point. Is there a specific issue that you're concerned about? Obviously, we like to talk about environmental issues. So if you can call about that, that's great. But obviously, call your elected officials about the things that are personal, which is the next point. Make it personal. Elected officials remember personal stories better than more facts and statistics. I know that when I hear, whenever I'm talking to people, personal stories go a long way, because a lot of times these offices do have statistics, so I find personal stories are very effective. You also want to have a very specific ask. End the call with exactly what you're asking the elected official to do. You want to call both your senators and your representative, so these are federal representatives, and leave a voicemail message with the same talking points as needed. So even if you don't get through to a staffer, more often than not, they're going to still listen to those calls. If you don't reach them right now, it's possible that they're dealing with other issues, as you can imagine, which is also why we're giving you Senator Gardner and Bennett's federal office number, so the DC office number, which is a 202 number. So just another thing, remember to recruit your friends. Make a list of 10 friends and family members and ask them to call each of their elected officials too. And send them the one-pager that we'll distribute to you after this training for the instructions. It's rather straightforward, and it's a good way to just get your voice heard and amplified and get other people to call about the issues that you care about. Here is an example of who to call, as well as what our senators look like. So Senator Gardner is on the left, Senator Bennett is on the right. You can use a website that we'll send to you, but basically it's a house.gov website that you can find your representative. So if you're in Metro Denver, it would be Diana DeGette. If you're in Aurora, it'd be Jason Crow. If you're in Lakewood, it would be Ed Perlmutter. But use this resource to help you find it much more specifically. So here is just a sample of what we'd call about. It doesn't have a personal story, but that's something that you could include into it. Like I know I would include that I have family in Colorado that suffers that are at risk of high air pollution. So when we have rollbacks of air pollution protections, it affects me personally as well as my family. So basically, call, dial up, say, hello, my name is Eric and I live in Denver. I'm calling about the EPA's announcement that they will be suspending enforcement. The EPA shouldn't be relaxing regulation of big polluters in this time of crisis. I want Senator Gardner to ask the EPA to continue to use their oversight authority to ensure the safety of our air and water. We shouldn't let one crisis worsen another. Thank you. And then that's really it. You should send me or Len Montgomery an email at lmontgomery@environmentcolorado.org, which is all this information is included on our one-pager that you should have available. You can complete a form or just let us know somehow the way that it went, because it's important for us to track our impact and communication with our elected officials. So anything that you send to us is very helpful. So with that, let's get calling. Calling our elected officials is really helpful, and it's a great way to have your voice be heard by our leaders. Right? And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any.